Spoilers, I'm Felicia and I like scary movies, and today we are doing a Patreon requested review, which I'm really excited about. So first of all, thank you Larry, who became a patron this past week. I really appreciate you being here and requesting this movie because it's been on my list for a while. We mentioned it in the Vampires episode of the Sinister Sisters podcast we did back in October, and the only thing we mentioned is that neither Lauren nor I had seen it. So now I have, and I can text her and say that she should watch it because it's really good. Now this movie came out in 2007 and has a little bit of an interesting history. So Steve Niles came up with the idea for this movie, and he initially pitched it as a film, and it was pretty much rejected from everywhere he went. So he decided instead to turn it into a comic, and then with the success of the comic, ended up becoming a movie. So good job, Steve. Never give up on your dreams. Now this movie ended up being directed by David Slade, who we also mentioned in that Vampires episode, because he would go on to direct Twilight Eclipse in 2010 or 2011. 2010. Anyway, so as I said, this is a vampire movie, and it has a premise that I have thought about many times, but not in a vampire sense. So it takes place in Alaska, and basically there you get 30 full days of nighttime because of how the world turns, and it's just eternal darkness for a very long time. I actually thought it was longer than 30 days. Let me Google that. Okay, I Googled and I have the Anchorage Daily News. I actually just found out I have a subscriber from Anchorage, so hey. But does Alaska really have 6 months of light and 6 months of darkness? Let's see. Okay, so luckily it says those extremes only happen on the North Pole and the South Pole. So Alaska gets fairly extreme. Okay. It has about 2 months of darkness in the winter from about November 18th to January 22nd. And then in the summer, the sun doesn't completely set for about 82 days, which is May until end of July. That's pretty interesting. Learn something new every day. Okay, so yes, this Alaska town has 30 days of night, as it says in the title, and during those 30 days, a big old group of vampires comes in and basically tries to destroy the entire town and eat basically everyone. This movie also stars Josh Hartnett, who you will remember from The Faculty, which we reviewed at some point on this channel, I don't remember when, but he plays sort of the sheriff character. He's gonna, fight the vampires and be our hero and that dude. Okay, now what did I think? I loved it. I loved it for a couple of reasons. One, because it didn't give us the traditional vampire in certain ways. These vampires are, they're definitely blood-sucking. They are scared of the sun and things like that, but they are not sexualized, they are not glamorized. They're sort of more just these like beastly demon creatures, and much less of a extra hot human that likes to suck blood. Do you know what I mean? So that's sort of a fun thing. And then in addition to that, this movie really focuses on the people in the town and their survival, and much less on the vampires themselves. So I feel like typically in a vampire movie, you're dealing a lot more with the vampires, and they are sort of humanized, and we are sort of relating to the vampire in certain ways. We spend a lot of time with the vampire. In this movie, that's not so true. In this movie, we do see them often enough, but we're not relating to them. We're not feeling sympathetic for them. We're not on their side in any way. They are not sort of humanized. They are just blood-sucking monsters. And I thought that was a kind of a refreshing thing. In terms of blood-sucking monsters, the gore in this is a lot, and it is good. These are like vicious vampires. I love, they have these like hideous, ugly, dirty teeth. Once again, not like the pristine, beautiful white chompers that we get in a lot of, vampire shows and movies. But these are some like gnarly, gross teeth, and when they rip out someone's throat, like blood goes flying. It is just disgusting, and it is awesome. Also, in terms of blood, there is an image that is in the movie that I just really like, and it's this big wide image that comes up of all the town, and you see all these red splotches in the snow where the vampires have murdered people. And I hope I can find a picture of it online because it's so just dark but also strangely beautiful. It's hilarious because I feel like this happens in Twilight as well. But this sort of strong contrast between red blood and white snow is just very beautiful, and you can see that in this movie. Ooh, I also want to mention in terms of the vampires themselves, I love the screeching noise they make. They also have sort of their own made-up language, and thanks to the IMDb trivia section, which is just my favorite section on IMDb, it says it's a completely original language created for the film with the help of a linguistics professor at a New Zealand university. Cool. And something else I just saw on here, which I think relates back to what we were talking about earlier in terms of the movie not being so much about the vampires and more about the town, is that you never learn any of the vampires' names. It says in here that we don't know that they even have names until the end credits where they are named. But I do think that specifically is also interesting about it. The vampire is not necessarily the rock star of the movie, it's just the nameless villain. Alright guys, and I think that's it. I don't really have any negatives about this movie. I just really enjoyed it, and it was nice to see a very different kind of vampire movie. If you guys have other vampire recommendations, please let me know it down in the comments. I love vampire movies, especially when it sort of turns the genre on its head a little bit. But yeah, that's it people. I will see you in my next video, and I hope you have a nice scream. Bye.